Fidel Castro in 1960 began a series of social and economic reforms. In addition to the renewal of Cuba's infrastructure, there were strong ideological reasons for the educational reform. In pre-revolutionary Cuba, there was a dichotomy between urban citizens and countryside citizens, who were often agricultural workers. The Cuban Revolution was driven by the need for equality among these classes. Before the campaign, the rate of illiteracy among city dwellers was 11% compared to the 41% in the countryside. The campaign was designed to force contact between sectors of society that would not usually interact. Teachers were placed in the countryside where they could work to break down social barriers. As Fidel Castro put it in 1961 while addressing teachers, "You will teach and you will learn." Besides literacy, the campaign aimed to create a collective identity of unity and an attitude of combat, courage, intelligence, and a sense of history. The effort was labeled a movement among the people and gave citizens a common goal while increasing solidarity.
In 1960, there was a preparatory period for the Cuban Literacy Campaign, headed by Dr. Ana Echegoyen Cañizares. The intense demand for the success of the Cuban Literacy Campaign saw multiple departments of the government involved. The recruitment and training and safety of the brigadistas were a number one priority. The first of the three-stage literacy campaign began on January and ended in April, which saw the training of a literacy brigade. The second stage began on April, which Fidel Castro closed all schools in order to encourage students to join the literacy campaign to help teach illiterate adults. The students would endure a week-long training course. The third and final stage saw the final push to educate Cuba. And it saw the recruitment of factory workers who were educated to completely accelerate and meet the one-year deadline. Those who did not meet the one-year deadline were sent to acceleration camps to finish the one-year deadline of the Cuban Literacy Campaign.
There was an estimated number of 100,000 Cubanos who volunteered for the literacy campaign, and the campaign targeted more than 1 million Cubans. Many of these volunteers were students who took time off of school to participate. The people who volunteered in this campaign were conducted into 4 separate brigades, the first being the Coronado Benitez Brigadistas, which had 100,000 young men and women volunteer, all between the ages of 15 to 18, who left for the countryside to teach illiterate adults to read and write. The second being the Alfabetizadores Populares, adults who joined the campaign and taught in the cities and towns. This group consisted of individuals who taught friends, neighbors, family members, and coworkers on their own time and out of their homes and jobs. The third being the Patricia o Muerte. This group consisted of adult workers who were paid to teach in rural locations, while they had coworkers who would fill in time for them at their jobs. This allowed people to help with the campaign and keep the workforce strong. The last being the School Teachers Brigade. This group consisted of professional teachers who oversaw the technical and organizational aspects of the campaign. Eventually, they were involved in the campaign full-time or for the majority of the campaign. Before the revolution, Cuban women were living in a patriarchal society that existed throughout Cuba. After the success of the revolution, it granted Cuban women new opportunities. The campaign offered women the opportunity to volunteer for a cause and make a difference for their society and their country. Although the campaign was targeted towards men, women played an essential role throughout the entire campaign, and over 500,000 women volunteered. In a speech Fidel Castro gave in May 1961, he stated that Cuba had 2 armies, the first being the militias that were associated with the revolution, and the second, the army of the literacy teachers. These volunteers were treated like soldiers. They were separated into brigades and given the same uniform regardless of gender. Before these volunteers were sent off, they were given a kerosene lamp, children's books, and school books that taught the alphabet and basic reading skills. The women who participated within the campaign were given a new sense of responsibility, and altogether it was a massive success for the country. While this campaign lasted a little over a year, the literacy rates in Cuba went from 47% to 100%, and Cuba remains having a 99.8% literacy rate today.